really don't like being around people that much. I've lived off-grid almost 4 years. I'm going on 4 years. This is my 4th year. I came out here in 2020, and I'll tell you why I've done it. The first reason I can think of that I decided to move off-grid stems all the way back to when I was about 5 years old. I remember my brother and I would talk about moving off-grid into the mountains and becoming hermits. And I don't know if we saw a movie or what exactly inspired that, but it's something that's always been on my mind. It was 12 degrees this morning, and even the broccoli's a little bit upset about that. From the time I was just a little kid, I really enjoyed building tree houses and building all kinds of different things. And I always enjoyed the outdoors. And I think that's probably the number one motivator, is it's just been in the back of my mind my entire life. Oh, my parents would argue all the time and yell and all these things, and I think because of that, that's where I began to really enjoy my solitude. And I've always just enjoyed getting away from all the noise and drama that people have. I was on my own by the time I was 15 years old, and if I wasn't just trying to make enough money to feed myself, I was usually hiking or backpacking or climbing a mountain. And I've just really always enjoyed the outdoors. I worked as a truck driver. I did different types of construction. I had several jobs, and I never had an employer that truly valued my really strong work ethic. And I guess not everybody has strong work ethic, but when you work really, really hard and you know you're earning a company tens of thousands of dollars every day and they undervalue that, you kind of get tired of it and you want to roll the dice at working really hard for yourself. And one day I was laid off, and it was around COVID, so all the restaurants closed. I was a warehouse manager, and this company closed. But previous to that, I was already saving up some money so I could buy land and move off grid, and that was the final straw. I've been out here for 3.5 years now, and the questions I get asked most often is, do I get lonely? And I don't. I just love my solitude. I don't need a bunch of friends. I would rather just have a couple really solid friends that I could count on. I never came out here to be popular or glamorize off-grid living or anything like that. I just wanted to do my own thing, and I actually started my YouTube channel just to blog my experience mostly for myself. And then to my surprise, a lot of people chimed in and said, hey, can you answer this question, or what are you doing about this? And it turned into what it is today. I live in my van and I'm perfectly happy in it. A lot of people have asked me about that, and I'll probably build a small home eventually, but I'm just gonna wait until I can do it right, you know, where I can pay for everything that needs to be done correctly and all the building materials. When I first got out here, it was like life or death. It was a gamble. So I did half-ass some things technically, but really what I was doing was building the infrastructure I needed, even though I didn't have all of the building materials and stuff. So, you know, my rain harvesting system was extremely elementary, but it did the trick, and that's how everything started. But I don't want to build my house that way.
Waiting just a little bit to see if enough rain will come down and wash out the other end.
I'm at a point where I no longer need to buy meat, and I've never bought a salad since my garden started. It just feels like it's more important to be happy and enjoy what you're doing than to make $250,000 a year and be extremely stressed about paying your mortgage and all those kind of things. I bought and paid off this van before I moved out here. I didn't even have it built out like it is now, and when I did build it out, I only spent like $1,500 bucks. But I have no mortgage. I don't have a car payment. My insurance is super cheap. I have Amazon Prime because of the shipping and whatever, and so I get to watch those videos, so I don't pay for like Disney Plus or something like that. I have the cheapest phone plan you can get. I have Starlink, but you know, there's some things that you just need to have. But anywhere that I can cut a cost, I do, and that affords me the ability to live a little more free. I'm outside most of each day. I'm surrounded by awesome animals, and I love my dogs and horses and pigs and chickens more than anybody on earth. My mental health is better. I've lost over 100 pounds. Because I earn 100% of my income from the homestead without ever leaving, other than to ship packages and run to the city occasionally to pick up some stuff. This frees up more time so that I can focus on improving myself. What's the point of going through life if you never get a focus on being the best you can be mentally, physically, you know, doing the things that you want to do, the things that make you happy and have a purpose for you? That's not to say this lifestyle is for everybody. I don't know, it's 19 degrees right now. I've got the door wide open. The heater's running, but I'm acclimated enough to the cold that a lot of people probably wouldn't be comfortable living quite this way. Although I could close the door, and this heater, I rarely ever run at full blast, so you could stay super warm that way. But the toilet, I have a composting toilet. It's nice. It's got an outhouse around it. It's very clean, but it's outside and it's cold. And you can acclimate yourself basically so that you were only using it, you know, during the warmth of the day and whatnot. There's tricks to every system, but it's not a heated bathroom. And I have a really nice gas shower. It's a propane powered shower. It gets hot immediately. It never goes cold as long as you have water. It's great. But the way I live, you know, I haven't insulated the water on that system completely, and so there can be a few days where it's frozen and it could be tricky to get it to start when it's that cold and things like that. But I pretty well shower every few days. There's nobody out here and I'm clean anyway, and for me that's fine. And I'm in and out in like 5 minutes or less, because you don't want to be going through a ton of water when it's kind of limited. Every single day, 3 times a day, I feed the horses hay. That's a lot of work. It may not sound like it, but when you add everything together, you know, about 21 pounds a day they're eating right now without getting fat. Once or twice a day I feed the pigs. If it's going to be cold, I make sure to feed them a hearty meal before bed, all the animals, so that they're not too cold, and they all do well. But so those are just some of the chores. And you know, when it's 12 degrees outside and water lines want to freeze and whatever, it can be a little more work to get water to all the animals. I do have an automated system. I built a water tower, and in the summertime, water runs to every single thing, except for the chicken waterer, but I fill it once a week. And even the dogs have a waterer that's automated. But in the winter, because I haven't, you know, I'm piecing things together. It's frugal off-grid, you know. I'm piecing things together, and I haven't been able to insulate the system and whatever. And so if you come out here without a ton of money, those are things you might have to work on. I work hard every day because I like to. You wouldn't necessarily have to work as hard as I do. I'm just always working on a project. I like to stay busy, and the way I see it, my time is my most valuable asset, so I'd rather give my time to myself. So if I'm going to spend 6 hours working, I'd rather spend 6 hours improving the homestead in one way or another. But you could definitely slide by doing less work. I'm not rich by any means. I have some nice things because they're necessary. And that still qualifies as frugal. Frugal is simply not being frivolous and spending your money on all kinds of stuff you don't need. I have over a year's supply of food storage. That's a pretty good investment, you know. I have some savings. That's a pretty good investment myself. Living this way has allowed me to build up some of those securities. And so like I said, I don't have a ton of money, but most of my needs are met most of the time, you know. And I'm building more and more security as I go. Although I have over a year's supply of food storage in my root cellar that I built by hand, saved myself thousands, I have about the same amount of meat just sitting there. You know, well, let's see, right now I have 7 piglets that are ready to, well, 3 of them are ready to go. 4 more will be ready in about 6 months or less. And then I have 2 sows and a boar, and I just processed my first pig. I've been breeding them all this time to get the line all set up, and now I have enough meat to support myself completely. I don't need to buy meat. I have hundreds of pounds of meat, and a lot of it's alive, which is one great way to store it. And currently in my freezer I have about 67 pounds of meat. 100% was grown right here on the homestead. I hope you know I'm not bragging. I came from nothing. I came out here with no money. You know, if somebody comes out here that's wealthy and starts with $60,000, $100,000, that's, you know, it's a big difference. And I'm not trying to compete with anybody like that. I came out here with $6,000. My van, sorry. I came out here with $6,000, my van, and I didn't have a business going or anything. So I started from absolute scratch. And I would be leaning more towards encouraging others if it sounds like something that you'd really want to do and you don't have a ton of money, but you're willing to work for it, then maybe it's something that you can do. Every day I get a full night's sleep. I never have an alarm go off. I wake up really early and I go to bed early, and it just works out just perfectly fine like that. It was fun for me to build out my van to live in. I built a barbecuer out of a 50-gallon drum, a smoker out of another one. I built 2 3,600-gallon underground cisterns in a way that I'd never seen anybody do it before, and that was fun for me. I built a pond that holds about 4,000 gallons. I've built 20,000 gallons worth of rain harvesting storage. The 11 inches that falls annually on average, I should be able to harvest and store 20,000 gallons on my homestead, which is a lot of water, and I'd like to double that. And at that point, I would never need to haul water for years at a time. As long as it didn't drought for 3 years, I would probably be able to maintain on that much storage. I built the water tower, and that was a lot of fun to do, and to automate water throughout the homestead. I dug my geothermal greenhouse. How fun was that to figure it all out and get it to work so that I can grow vegetables in there all year long. Even though it'll be -3 on Saturday, but I'll still have vegetables growing in there. And my root cellar, which isn't a perfect root cellar, but it stays about 45 degrees cooler in the summer and 45 degrees warmer in the winter, roughly, which is a huge difference. It's the most ideal space on the homestead to store food storage for me. I've gotten to experience horses. I was lucky enough to buy a couple horses. Well, in my opinion, I know a lot of people probably wouldn't want to buy what is dang near a feral horse. I say this because their parents were feral, but they were born on a ranch, but they weren't really handled, so they're like almost feral horses. And I got to get a couple of these horses and train them from scratch. I've been training them for about 2 to 4 months, depending on the one you're looking at. But what an amazing experience to see how you can gentle a horse and build a relationship with it and build trust with them, and just so many really cool things I'm grateful that I get to experience being off-grid and living in solitude like I do. I really don't like being around people that much. I never ever am mean to anybody. I don't care. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't want to get in their business. I just mind my own business. But if someone's a jerk to me, I might be an asshole back. And then people are like, that guy's a jerk, you know? So I just rather not even worry about other people's cancerous behaviors and whatnot. And to each their own, you know? I think you can live a healthy life that way. Just sticking to a few people that you really enjoy being around, that don't vomit on you, you know? It's just nice to have a couple friends that just never bother you, never mess with you, never expect anything, and you're mutually beneficially friends. I've written a couple ebooks that were Amazon bestsellers, and since then I've decided to only sell them on my website as an ebook. And if you join the mailing list, you can get my first book for free, which was the very best-selling book. And then the next book you can get as well. It expands on the first book. So if you're interested in my homestead, you can check those out. You can subscribe. I've got hundreds of videos. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.